Hello, I'm Chi from Group 2 and next I'll be in charge of Group 2's phonology section, which is words ending in ed. First, I want to talk about root words that ends in t or d, such as test and end. For these words, the ed part is pronounced as it. For example, tested and ended. Next, we'll see how the ed part is pronounced in words that have voiced consonant sound or vowel sound at the end. So here's the list of examples. We have call, clean, offer, damage, love, use, rub, claim, breathe, message, and wing. For these words, we put d at the end of the word. For example, remembered and complied. Now, let's move on to the last part. We have root word ends with an unvoiced consonant sound. Here's a list of examples. Help, look, laugh, wash, watch, dance, and bath. For these words such as clap and wash, the ed suffix is pronounced as t. For example, clapped and washed. As you may notice, we have some notes here that are matched voiced with voiced and voiceless with voiceless. We can see the is also a voiced sound. So we can note down that the matches with voiced consonant sound at the end. That is, match voiced with voiced, and the same to voiceless, where t is also a voiceless sound. This is a note we find pretty useful to be taken so as to perform better in phonology parts of the test. However, there are still some words that don't follow these rules. There are still some differences in pronunciation of the ed suffix depending on its form, adjective or verb. In this category, the ed adjective takes it, while verbs simply follow the rules before. For example, we have blessed. She is blessed by God. Blessed, the Blessed Virgin. Beloved, she is beloved by him. Beloved, the beloved elder. Learned, we learned a lot from Miss Lan. And learned, a learned gentleman. Another case is the ed adjective with no corresponding verb. These adjectives are pronounced with it. For example, naked, wicked, rugged, sacred, and etc. Now let's do some exercises. For this question, the answer is D. We have seized, while the others are sacrificed, finished, fixed. In this question, the correct answer is A. We have walked, while the others are pronounced with it. For example, ended, started, and wanted. Next, in this question, the correct answer is C. Stopped. The others are pronounced with D. For example, rubbed, tugged, filled. For question number 4, we have B is the correct answer. It is pronounced parted, while the other takes T at the end. Washed, passed, and barked. Last question. The correct answer is A, which is pronounced with D, filled, while the others are pronounced with it. For example, naked, suited, and wicked. So that's the end of my presentation on the phonology and the ending ed. Thank you for listening, and let's move on to the next part.
Hello everyone, my name is Nam and today we will talk about the future tense and passive voice. Starting off with the future tense. The future symbol will. We use will when we want to give or ask for information about the future. For example, it will spring soon. Here give us information that spring is around the corner. Will the whole family be at the wedding? Show us a question wondering whether or not the whole family will attend the wedding. Will is used to make a decision at the moment you're speaking. For example, what do I want to drink? I think I will have a coffee. We also use will to talk about what we think will happen. For instance, tomorrow will be warm with some clouds in the afternoon. And who do you think will win the match on Saturday? Next, we have be going to. We use be going to talk about plans. For example, we are going to get a new car soon. Or, I'm going to stop him from reading my emails if it's the last thing I do. We use be going to for when we predict the future on the basis of present evidence as well. Like in this case, Sandra's going to have another baby in June. Or, look at the sky, it's going to rain. Be going to can also be used to insist that people do things or prevent them doing some certain things. Such as, she's going to take that medicine whether she like it or not. Or in this case, you are not going to play football in my garden. Be going to can emphasize a refusal. I'm not going to stay up all night listening to your problems. Following next we have present progressive and future tense. When we want to talk about personal arrangement or fixed plans, we use present progressive. What are you doing this evening? I'm washing my hair. We often use the present progressive to talk about actions which are just starting. For example, I'm just going next door, back in a minute. Or, get your coat on, I'm taking you down to the doctor. The next one is like be going to. Present progressive can also be used to insist that people do things or prevent them from doing certain things. As an example, she is taking that medicine whether she likes it or not. You are not wearing that skirt to school. So, what's the difference between be going to and present progressive? Because, as you can see, be going to and present progressive has some similarity. First is about plan. While both of them can be used when we want to express something is planned, present progressive often used when it is a fixed plan, which is arranged or decided already and not able to be changed, plan. On the other hand, we're going to emphasize on intentions and decisions. Here are two examples for you. Who's cooking lunch? Mean asking who has been chosen to cook lunch. Asking what has been arranged. But on the other hand, who's going to cook lunch? Means let us decide who cook lunch today. Asking for a decision. Second, because the present progressive is used especially for personal arrangements, it is not generally used to make predictions about events that are outside people's control. Here's an example. It's something before long. Snow in this case has to be in be going to, because snow is outside, so snow is a weather, and weather is outside people's control. So, present progressive here is not suitable. The sentence will be, it's going to snow before long. Third and lastly, the present progressive and be going to are used for actions and events, but the present progressive usually not for permanent states. Here's an example. The new house, something over the river, because once you build the house, it's gonna be permanently look over the river. So here, present progressive is not suitable. The sentence will be, the new house is going to look over the river. Carrying on with the future tense, we have future perfect and future progressive. First is future perfect. We use future perfect to say that something will be finished or completed by a certain time in the future. For example, the builders say they will have finished the roof by Tuesday, or I will have spent all my savings by the end of the year. And a progressive form, future perfect progressive, can be used to talk about a continuous activity. Like here in this example, I will have been teaching for 20 years this summer. Next, we have future progressive. We can use future progressive to say that something will be in progress, happening at a particular moment in the future. This time tomorrow, I will be lying on the beach. Or, good luck with the exam, we will be thinking of you. The future progressive is often used to refer to future events which are fixed or decided or which are expected to happen in the normal course of events. Professor Baxter will be giving another lecture on Roman glass making at the same time next week. Or, I will be seeing you one of these days, I expect. Note here that there are times when you could use both present progressive and future progressive. But if you are trying to say that you are having an arrangement to do something and so can do something else, you should be using present continuous to show this. The future progressive can also be used to make polite inquiries about people's plans. Let's compare. Will you be staying this evening? Very polite inquiry, suggesting I simply want to know your plans. On the other hand, are you going to stay this evening? It's pressing for a decision. And finally, for the future tense, we have simple present and be2 plus infinitive. First is simple present. We can sometimes use simple present to talk about the future. This is common when we are talking about events which are part of a timetable, a regular schedule, or something similar. Here's some example. What time does the bus arrive in Seattle? Or my plane leaves at 3 o'clock. The simple present is often used with a future meaning in subordinate clauses. For example, after what, where, when, until, if, then. Here are 3 examples for you. I will tell you what I find out, not what I will find out. She will pay us back when she gets a job, not when she will get a job. Alex will see us tomorrow if he has time, not if he will have time. And occasionally, the simple present is used for future meaning when asking for or giving instructions. Where do I pay? Or wait, what do we do now? Next, we rarely use this in everyday conversation, but there's be2 plus infinitive. We use this structure in a formal style to talk about official and other plans and arrangements. The president is to visit Nigeria next month. I felt nervous because I was soon to leave home for the first time. Another use is for talking about things which are or were hidden in the future, fated to happen. I thought we were saying goodbye forever, but we were to meet again many years later under very strange circumstances. That will be it for the future tense. Now we will practice some exercise as an example for the future tense. Number 1. It's 10:45 now, and according to the schedule, the train something at 11:45. So we have to wait 1 more hour. Because the word schedule is a big hint to tell us that we have to use simple present. So the answer will be the train leaves at 11:45. Number 2. We something dinner at a nice restaurant on Saturday, but we haven't booked a table yet. Because the first part shows that this is a plan, but the second part shows that this is not a fixed plan. This is just an intention. So we use be going to in this question. The answer would be are going to have. Number 3. My ski instructor believes it's something in the mountains tomorrow evening. Here the word believes hint us that it is a prediction. So the answer would be will snow. Number 4. On the next Sunday at 8 o'clock, I something my friend as planned. As planned shows that this is the plan with the correct date and time. This is a fixed plan. And this also because the subject is I is also a personal plan. So we will use present progressive. Answer will be I am seeing. Number 5. They something to London on Friday evening at 8:15. Here, on Friday evening at 8:15 is a fixed plan. So, the answer will be are flying. But because in this question, some people might confuse between plan and schedule. And it's also not as clear as the first question that say that it is a schedule or a plan. So here we can also, in this question number 5, we can also use simple present. Is acceptable, but not as correct as present progressive. Let's continue with the practice. Number 11 and 12 has the same explanation why we choose that answer. Because the structure for will is will plus pre-infinitive. So the first number 11 will be will live, and number 12 we have to use will. Number 13. Everyone in class CA 1922 sending a successful figure in the future. It is just a prediction about the future. So the answer will be will have. Number 14. What should I make for dinner? I think some carrots to make vegetable soup. Here, because you didn't plan what will you have, what would you will make for dinner, so this is simply just a decision at the time you're speaking. The answer will be will harvest. Number 15 is also similar to number 14. This letter is in French, and I don't know French. Can you help me? Sure, I something it for you. Because the situation is not planned, you didn't plan that you will help the A person to translate for him. So this is also just a decision made at the moment you're speaking. The answer will be will have, will help. Let us move on to the passive voice. The formula for passive voice is object from active change to subject in passive. Verbs become to be, and this to be depends on the tense of the verb when it was still in active, plus verb participle. And lastly, the subject change to object in passive, following with preposition by in front of it. So now, when should we use passive voice? Passive is used when it is not necessary to mention the doer. Here's, for example, the rubbish hasn't been collected. The house next door hasn't been bought. It is also used when we don't know or don't know exactly or have forgotten who did the action. The minister was murdered. My car has been moved. It is when the subject of the active verb would be the indefinite pronoun one or people, we can use passive. Here's an example. He is suspected of receiving stolen goods. Inactive would be people suspect him of receiving stolen goods, or this sort of advertisement is seen everywhere. Inactive, it would be one sees this sort of advertisement everywhere. We can also use passive when we know the doer but we don't want to mention him to emphasize the action. Here's an example. I was born in August 8th. Everyone knows that I was born by my mother, but we don't want to mention that because it's not necessary. And what we want to do in this sentence is to emphasize the fact that I was born on August 8th. So passive should be used. Then when shouldn't we use passive? In some cases, the passive sentence can get you into trouble in academic writing because they can be general about who is responsible for the action. Only in some cases. Here's an example. Both Othello and Iago desire Desdemona. She is courted. So, who's courted Desdemona? Othello, Iago, or both of them? Here, another example is research has been done to discredit this theory. So who did this research? You, your professor, or another author? So you should avoid using passive voice in these cases, so it can be more specific on who did the action. Next, we will be moving on to preposition with pacifier. In a passive clause, we are usually used by to introduce the agent. The agent is the person or thing does the action, or that causes what happens. Here's an example. In active, the murderer burned down the house in order to erase all evidence. In passive, it would be the house was burned down by the murderer in order to erase all evidence. However, in some cases, the passive form of such sentence as this one, smoke filled the room, or paint covered lock. The passive form of this sentence will be the room was filled with smoke, or the lock was covered with paint. Here we are dealing with the materials used, not with the agent. Smoke and paint here is the material the agent used to fill and cover, so we shouldn't use by here. There's only some cases that we should use by. This is just an example for you. Next, when a verb plus preposition plus object combination is put into the passive, the present preposition will remain immediately after the verb. In active, we must write to him, because in active write into is follow each other immediately. So in passive, it has to be he must be written to. And that is also conclude my presentation about the passive voice and future tense. Thank you for your listening. Next, we will have the reading part presented by Khánh Chào in our group.